So I've got this little box, I just put air holes in that, keep the prawns in, try and keep that nice and cold. I do bring a little aerator with me sometimes if I'm fishing. And my push net is actually just a modified landing net, as you saw earlier. So after a few, well, about 50 or 60 scoops, we got a good amount of prawns. This will probably do me for a few weeks. That spider crab. Usual mix of crabs and shrimps and other things in there as well. And then I just use these poly boxes to keep them in, keep it in the shed so it's nice and cool. You can actually get these poly boxes from aquariums and pet shops that obviously have fish in them. Be careful you don't use the plant ones because they leak. And then I use the blue ice packs as well, just to keep that temperature down. But they're quite robust, these prawns. They'll last for ages, to be honest. And I do actually use a little filter as well as the aerator. It's just one of these cheap ones. I'll leave a link at the bottom if you need that. And that's all you need. Occasionally one or two might die in the tank, but they're good quality bait, the prawn. So I definitely recommend that as to improve your bassing. I learned a lot from Shane Joy, taught me a lot about fishing with the prawns. They're really good. I like to travel light when I'm lure fishing, so I use a little shoulder bag like this. So obviously it's got all the pockets and the zips and that kind of thing in it. I don't like the rucksack, so you get a rucksack and you're trying to get stuff out the bottom of the rucksack, you can't do it so well. So, and that's the reason I like the shoulder bag, because you can just get something on the side. So I thought we'd just have a quick look, have a look what's inside the bag. As I say, so we're going to try and travel as light as possible. Always bring a landing net as well. This one actually doubles up for the prawn net. I've got some extra garden wire around the edges because you're constantly putting that up. You get ones that collapse here because when you're using that and scraping up the side of rocks, this will just wear the net away. So it makes it a little bit sort of tougher, really. A few people have asked about the rod and the reel. This is a 2500 Sedona from Shimano. It's a 2500 is quite small reel, but for this 7-foot rod is ideal. The rod itself is I'll check myself now. Rod itself is a Veritas. This is the Abu Garcia one, as I say, 7 foot, and that'll cast up to about 30 grams. It's really nice, that rod. Although I bust the end off it, so I've used another butt on there and basically just shoved it in there. So soon be time for yet another new rod, I think. Occasionally if I'm fishing off the pier or harbour walls with the lures, then I'll bring a drop net. Not that conducive to travelling light, but certainly something you'll need if you do catch a big bass. Right, let's have a look inside this bag and we'll try and fish as light as possible. So it's quite a sunny day today. We're off chasing the bass this afternoon. So we'll see how we get on there. So I thought I'd quickly show you what I keep in the bag to try and travel as light as possible. This is just a weighing sling or weighing net. Comes in this little green bag. Obviously you put the fish in that. It's got the string there. Use that to weigh the fish. I use these lure boxes, so they've got like little grooves in them. Pack all the lures in there. It's got two sides to it as well, so you flip it over, you've got lures on the other side. Anything that's too long to go in that short one goes in here, like the longer lures. Could probably be a bit neater in here. And I've also got some treble hooks just in case I want to do some live baiting. Fly box, assortment of flies there. Haven't got too many flies. I really like that crab fly, works really well. Spare spools for the fly line, obviously, spare spools, plastic bag if you do catch some fish. Sometimes take a freezer block as well. Polarized sunglasses, these are the things I'm always forgetting. I mean, to be fair, I do dispatch some fish to eat, so I take that with me as well. Assortment of things there, so we've got clippers, scale, obviously, some more trebles there, spare fluorocarbon, tape measure. It's a little less bulky than using one of those match measures, you know. Got a couple of these spools as well, the 2500 ones for the Sedona, and then the FG knot, which is the knot I've been using now to knot the braid. And the only other thing I'll have in the bag, and I'll put these absolutely everywhere, in all the pockets, in the boxes with the lures, just because they're the sort of thing you need quickly. These are the mini breakaway lure clips, and I've got plenty of those as well. So this time of year I'm sort of weighing up whether I should be on the live prawn or the lures. Actually, what we're going to do tonight, I think we're going to go down with the lures. I'm going to head down the coast a little bit to some marks that I know, and see what we can find from there. As I say, I'll leave the prawns in there for one more day and see how we get on with the lures. I've been bumped a couple of times by something. It's usually a good sign. There we go. Small enough just to move across the rocks. There we go, nice dark coloured bass, that one. Go for the fish black minnow. Again, if you're new to this, I'll leave some links underneath so you can have a look at what that lure was. And if you look closely here, it's really interesting. You actually see the darker patches. It was quite hard to see at the time, but comes across quite well on the video actually. Those dark patches there are actually mackerel. So that is a shoal of mackerel. They don't look like they're feeding. There's not white bait, and it's very late now. It's getting quite dark. As I say, you're likely to get a bass take this time of day, but it's a bit dark for the mackerel. So I'm casting to the edges of the shoal, hoping that there's bass amongst them as well. GoPro, stop recording. So that's 6 bass now this year, and I think the lure fishing is well underway. I'm just keeping an eye for clearer water, and we'll get out again. So if you want to have a look at the Seaford mark, which is the one here, then you can click on the link. We've also got a beginner's guide to the lure fishing, and as always, I would love you to have your comments on the video. How are you getting on?